never give up. I never give up. I never give up.
Hi guys, welcome back to Neff Inspiration, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stephan Neff. Today's another fantastic day. I've got Musa Sajady with me. Musa is a man who is pioneering human transformation. And he's a man who lived his life the way he thought is appropriate. And then, the universe or whoever is out there, the general beautiful consciousness that links us, thought, nah, he needs a bit of a wake-up call. And what better than let him nearly die? And so I know you heard that right, guys. That is, but I'm instead of me telling the whole story, Mas, welcome to my show. I'm so honored to speak to you. I can't wait to learn from you your new insights that made you the man that you are today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Stephan. I think it's going to be great.
Oh, absolutely.
Great interview.
Mas, it's so weird. I've had the privilege to talk with a number of people who have had near-death experiences, and I always struggle. How was it when you died? How do you start something like that? Yeah. Maybe let's go to the Mas who lived his life before he had this 2x4 hit him on the forehead to say, wake up and live your life proper. Who were you before that?
I was actually a struggling college student trying to figure out what life was about. I was about 22 years old when I had my first near death. I've actually had 3 of them. Before that, which is really, again, I applaud you for the great questions. A lot of people get messed up having near-death experiences. There's thousands of near-death experiences, but actually I was groomed to have this near-death experience so I can catapult myself to higher levels of, say, awareness or consciousness that we all have, abilities to access. So before, I was a struggling college student trying to figure out the meaning of life. I used to read, Albert Einstein in his famous quote, he wanted that one equation that equals, life. And then I read I read religious texts, the Bible, the Quran, the spiritual text, all those things. I read a lot of self-improvement courses, went to Tony Robbins even back then, listened to, Dennis Waitley and all those great people back in the day. And it's like, God, there was something missing. Well, when I had my first near-death experience, I found what was missing. So.
Goodness gracious. May I ask what occurred to you?
Yes, I used to work as a warehouse, unloading rail cars, as a college job. And one day it was kind of weird because even before, the universe knows what's going on with you. So even the day before, I was feeling a little bit off, not sure, kind of wondering about all the things, in the world, who I am, all those deep questions that we ask, the meaning of life, why we're here. All those things started coming up for me. And then I went to work that day, again, a little bit off, but very awake or very alert, not like depressed or anything like that, but just off as my normal self. So the process was happening already. And there was a moving wall inside these rail cars, that keep the product in place. And it was stuck. So, being athletic back then, I guess even now, but being athletic, I offered to climb up and like pull on the top of this half-ton wall. And lo and behold, my team members were pulling from underneath. I was pulling on top, and the thing just let go. And it whizzed me right across the rail car. And what stopped was these ceiling members that they have in rail cars. And what stopped was my head. So what stopped the wall was my head. And it just crushed my jaw. So I was hanging by my jaw, not by my neck, but my jaw like this. And it was a horrifying experience for sure from the outside, from my teammates. But for me, it was the most extraordinary experience I could say I've ever had. One of the most extraordinary experiences, alongside my kids, obviously. But that allowed me to see who we are at a very, very deep level, Stephan. That most people don't live.
Stay there. Stay there. I know where you're going, but I mean, for crying out loud, conscious. What is conscious? That is what occurred to you in that moment.
Oh, yeah. So in that moment, I think I literally, at the moment, I had started to separate from my identity of my physical being. So my consciousness was still alert or awake. So a lot of people might go, "Oh, that's your spirit." So however you label it, it's my consciousness separated or my spirit separated from my physical form. Okay. And actually, there's a lot of science or cameras that have taken pictures of like essences, leaving a dead body. So basically, that's that woo-woo thing that we don't really understand. But to me, I actually understand it quite clearly. So as I separated, I'm going, wait a second, this feels really, really cool. But then I kind of literally turned around and I looked at my body. And then that's what struck me, Stephan, is like, what am I doing over there if I'm over here? And then I noticed that disconnect. And then I realized that I had died. It's like, oh shit, I died, but there was no fear. It was like, oh, I died. And then all of a sudden it's just like, poof, I expanded into the great being that we all think we are deep inside. So I had a firsthand experience on what it felt to be limitless, grand, pure potential, abundant in all aspects of self and possibilities that we can't even imagine. Yeah. And that was just the beginning, Stephan. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Many of my guests are a little bit more stubborn. The first time around, they think, oh, that's nice. And then they fall back into their old self.
Yes.
Because, I mean, here you were, first of all, probably with broken jaws. There's certainly a certain healing story and then doctor story coming in. What I like about your story is that there are no drugs involved in the sense of not drugs in the recreational sense, but often near-death experiences can occur when doctors are around. And you could always argue, they have given you a shot of ketamine as a pain relief, or they've given you X, Y, Z. And in your case, this was clearly not the case. This was something that occurred to you. You were in the hospital. Did you speak? Yeah. Did you speak about it? Were you clear about what had occurred?
And that's the key, Stephan. A lot of people, just to clarify your questioning of people who are, stubborn about what they saw, is because experiences like that, including love, joy, kids, money, and all that, are what I call in my work called Xponential Intelligence, are magnifiers. So a near death is a magnifier to help you understand who you really are. But like you said, some people are stubborn-headed. So what do? They go, that's too scary to face the facts of who I am.
Actually,
I'm going to hold on to my baggage here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was that the case with you?
No, not at all. In fact, I was like I said, I was tailored or groomed to go, okay, this is a great opportunity for you to really awaken and find the questions that we all have deep inside. So take it. And I took it, Stephan, and I ran. I went into, the meaning of life, a life review, which is actually a life relive. In that situation, we actually go, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why that happened. Not it was karma, or I did something bad back in the day, and now I'm paying for it. It has nothing to do with that. It literally is like, oh, these are the patterns that I was running. So it gets into the more the science or more the genetics. You run a certain pattern or a certain, equation of life, you're going to get an outcome to it. And as simple as that. There's no like, well, I was really nice. Why was God treating me like this? And none of that stuff. It's just straight out logic right from the get-go. And I'm going, oh shit, this makes a lot of sense. And there was no exception to the rule, as I realized later in life. Doing, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of client sessions and, a lot of research, in-depth research, on my own, trying to figure out what, all this stuff that we don't know about is. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So there you were on this journey.
Mhm.
When you spoke about that to your parents or to the people who loved you, who were
Mhm.
around you at that time, did they believe you? Or did they think,
Well,
was there a bit of a, yeah, what was the reception of others?
oh, the perception of others, well, they were just glad to have me back, especially my
Right.
mom and dad, you
Yeah.
know? Um, uh, well, after, they pushed the wall back and I fell down, on the ground, I guess. And then the next thing I knew, I was awake, conscious, and I had my jaws wired shut. So I didn't even know what went on
Oh,
afterwards. So, um, so obviously, my jaws being wired shut, the way my neck was,
yeah.
in it's like shit. It's amazing that you made it. So
Uh,
yeah, so they didn't really question, but they just didn't know what to think about it, so to speak, because
yeah.
instantly, literally, I had shifted or transformed.
Yeah.
What I was shifted so fast that they didn't quite make sense. They didn't know who I was, because I was just literally a different being,
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And that must have been scary for them. That must have
it
been,
was.
oh my God, our son is brain injured.
Yeah, exactly.
Goodness
So
gracious. Um,
yeah.
where did you go with that? I mean, that is a seismic event for anyone, especially a
Oh,
young man
absolutely.
who has been searching
Mhm.
for the meaning of life. How did you
Absolutely.
continue that story?
Well, everything was so euphoric. I mean, it was so fantastic, Stephan. Even if my jaws were wired shut, I had to like eat food through a straw,
Yeah.
So everything was blended. I had to, suck it up. And, but everything was euphoric. No matter what I did, I was like a little kid. It's like, whoa, this is what my hands feel like. Like everything was new. I was experiencing life the way we should. It's like, man, my body was so cool. It's like, gosh, I can actually walk, and you get into the logistics of walking and the details and the science on how immensely complicated the task of, say, walking or holding onto something without, say, crushing something. Afterwards, just to talk about that, the nerves in my face was gone. It got reconnected, but they were broken. So just the fascination of like shaving my beard, I actually broke, the Schick plastic razors
Yeah,
on
yeah.
my face because I wasn't getting any feedback from my face. And as I pushing, I'm going, I can't feel anything. And it like snapped. I'm going, oh, damn. It's little things like that that you take for granted, but it's like, oh, but those little, say, experiences really awoken me to the brilliance of human form and the logistics that it takes to create, sentient beings like we are and what we could do here. So I think that was really the lesson. Plus, it also allowed me amazing abilities to start looking at people and go, oh, okay, that person is going to have, an accident or a fight with their, wife or girlfriend and stuff. And lo and behold, yep, they had an argument, later on. And then that startled me because I'm going, how the hell did I know that? Or how the
Mm.
heaven did I know that? So
Well, I love the nice little the heaven and hell,
yes,
and
yes.
such a new ability or such a new, yeah, let's call it ability,
Mhm.
is can be heaven and it can be hell, because
Yes.
you have got, first of all, you doubt yourself. There's no doubt in my mind that you doubted yourself, because you
Well,
think, what's going on here?
that's true. Yeah, you doubt not only yourself, but you really doubt, say, the creation of what humankind has has become. You get started getting disappointed on the possibilities of what we all are. Because I started noticing, like my friends, it's like, oh my God, you've got so much potential that you don't even realize that are masked by, your parents' identities and all this other stuff that you believe in that, I'm heavily doubting myself. So, and actually that, Stephan, led me to, fast forward about 20 years, which is interesting. I've had 3 near deaths and they've both all been like 20, 22 years apart, which is quite interesting. So I don't know if there's something to that, but that led me to the second near death, because I was questioning so heavily, is like, why are we in such suffering? Why are we, addicted to things? Why do we do the things that we do? Why aren't we just reaching our potential? Which was groomed me to the second near death experience that I had.
Don't hold back. Don't hold back. Segue straight into that one, but you say 22 years apart. The first one was when you were 17. That makes you 18
around
now.
22.
So 22 plus 3. That's a lot of age. You're not 80. Come on, man. Your maths are off.
No, 22. Well, 22. The next one, the second near death, was around 44-ish.
I see. This is how you count. Okay, fair call.
Yeah.
So birth
22, 44 or 45 around that time frame. So the second one was actually a drowning incident. And again, like I said, I was groomed because I was really searching. Now that I had, basically the first near death gave me a handbook on the way life should be. And it sounds kind of weird, but when we're born, this is where kids, under the age 7, like especially around 5 or 6, they start to become intelligent and they go, okay, I've got this handbook on the way life is, but why are mom and dad like this? And this is where the why questions that kids ask, they're going, okay, the handbook tells me this, but you're telling me this. Why the difference? And then the parents go, because my parents did it that way, because society says it, or parents just like flat out lie to you because they don't know the answer and they want to, so they want to be that, model for you. So it messes up kids. So just for those who have kids listening to this show, if you've got younger kids, guys, they're onto something. So they gave me the first near death, literally, God or pure source, as I call it, however you define it, it doesn't matter to me. It's just somebody that has super intelligence goes, hey guys, I gave you that handbook. Here it is again. So that's what the first near death gave me. The second near death, because I had questions on what's the difference here? Why aren't we running this handbook, which is so perfect, compared to this? And by the way, the handbook is not based on any religion or anything like that, because the handbook was created way before mankind was ever created. So, which is kind of interesting for me. But the second near death really allowed me, it was a drowning accident. I got sucked into a cenotes in Belize in one of the rafting trips that they have. That's supposed to be safe, by the way. But at least that's what they say. But even then I was groomed for it, and they ran out of life jackets. And I figured, well, I'm a strong swimmer, because I was in, swim team and all that. It's like, I can handle it. And I've got my inner tube. So again, I was groomed or set up to have this, say, life-changing experience where I can catapult to the higher level. So,
okay.
Yeah. The second near death allowed me, I was underwater. I got sucked into a cenotes, basically, an underground tunnel, that feeds underground caves and waterfalls and all that. So probably it was a lava tube back in the day, but now it's filled with water, So I got sucked into the bowels of the earth, and it was really interesting. It's like, oh, that feeling again. I separated from my body and I could see my body just float away into the darkness. And then I was actually excited. So it wasn't terrifying for me. Although I go, God, that's the last time I'm going to see my family, my kids and all that. I thought I'd have more life than this, but I was okay with it because I transcended to a higher level of self again. I could actually feel the water. I could actually feel myself transition into another realm or another consciousness. And again, I was aware, and that's the difference between me and most near-death experiencers. And that experience led me way beyond, say, the consciousness. It allowed me to understand that time is a variable, although it's a constant here. the way we understand or we can manipulate time, the way we see realities or possibilities is very, very different. It led me to different dimensions of possibilities or different dimensions of self. Like the movie Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. I don't know if you've seen that movie, or the Spider-Man movie where they talk about the multiverse and different dimensions of self. I actually saw those things. If I wanted to go to France, for example, I just like went to France. Not in human form, but it's like, oh wow, this feels like France. And you could sense what France feels like as a frequency, which is really cool. And then also the coolest thing was the amount of love I felt. Is like I always say, like, if you multiplied any joyous moment that you've had by about 1,000,000 times, that's just the pure love that you have. And it's just amazing. There's no conditional love, unconditional love, whatever kind of love that we have here. It's just one definition that I've understood. And everything actually has one definition. If you go to the first level, say principle on that, or first level definition of those words, and at that level, it's like, whoa, this is the kind of love that we could experience here physically. It's like, now that I know, I wish I was in physical form again, but I didn't know at the time that I'd come back, because I think I went through the veil, or passed through the veil, that you're not supposed to come back. And that veil is the understanding that we have access to all knowledge that ever was, is, and shall be, because there's no time. So everything exists. So Einstein, again, was correct that everything exists all at once. And thank God for time, so we can, see it linearly, basically. But the cool thing about it, Stephan, was in that realization, I was still thinking that I had human form, because, your spirit, or your limitless self, is so conditioned to that human form. But then something happened that went beyond, it went beyond cool to me. Where I was amazingly amazing, but it's like I exploded into a universe of my own. So I had lost all definition of human form. And I was literally a universe of my own, just timeless. And I'm going, whoa, this is really cool. And it's this beautiful blue. I still remember it. It's kind of like the deep ocean blue. It's very similar to that. And I'm going, whoa, this is so amazing. And there's no time. So you could literally, it felt like forever, but then it felt like now. There's no boredom. There's no nothing. It's just like, whoa, this is amazing. But and that beautiful blue space, I call it the universal database, because if you're in that space, or if you're connected to that space, you can have access to all the information that ever is. And that's what I do now, by the way. So when I got pushed back into my body, which was amazing as well, because I was underwater for about 8 to 10 minutes, according to my wife at the time. But I was about 100 yards above river, not downriver, but above river from where I got sucked into. So out of divine intervention or something happened where I just found myself in the quieter, shallows of the river, going, again, how the heaven did I get here? It's like, because it didn't make sense to me logically. It's like, gosh, if I got sucked down, way down there, I should be, downriver more. But how did I end up back here? Which was, to this day, is still perplexing. But and I was so calm. I was bloody because I tried to fight, working my way out of the tunnel that I got sucked into. But other than that, it was really euphoric, and that's where my abilities really started to kick in. So,
wow.
Yeah,
I find it intriguing to listen to your descriptions. Many other people describe light often in a very overpowering but beautiful way, or they describe meeting either a deity or meeting ancestors, people that have passed.
Yeah.
That was not part of your experience, and it just shows how.
Uh,
Or was it? Was it? And we have not talked about
no,
it yet. No.
no. Yeah, and I actually can explain that if you
Yeah,
want.
go for it. Yes, I would be intrigued.
So, there's a tunnel of light that they talk about. I was in that tunnel of light. The first near death allowed me to see the beauty and grace. And the tunnel of light is like all possibilities that could ever happen to you.
Yeah.
Hence, so if you can imagine, and it's so brilliant and it's so bright. So it feels like light, but it's actually, say, a consciousness that you are sucked into. And I talk about also being at all possibilities, not just like white light, is is when you mix the three colors, which can make millions of colors from the primary colors, right? We all know that. So when you mix all of those at 100%, so all possibilities of color is white.
Okay.
So when you're in the white light, you're literally in the arena or consciousness where all possibilities for you can exist. Hence the white light. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. It does actually.
So, yeah, but you have to be really awakened or groomed. Most people see their loved ones welcoming them. So in that tunnel of light, there's like 13 layers of consciousness. So the first layer is an introductory layer. It's like, hey, you see your pet cat or dog or horse, whatever. You have, loved ones that have crossed over. They kind of welcome you. And then you kind of go through a recalibration or a reintroduction to who you really are outside of your physical form. Because you carry the identity of being ill, being, again, addicted, being abused, being wealthy, being all that into that tunnel of light. So the 13 layers basically are ways to shed those things out, and you pop out the other side back into your brilliance. So
okay, that's a beautiful way of actually putting it. Like basically coming in rather dirty and actually having a shower and getting rid of all the rubbish that is on you or in you in that case.
Yeah. The deities, the deities are seeing Jesus and seeing whatever, all those angels and all that stuff. So if you believe that that's a good thing, like here in this physical world, then they'll give you a clue going, you're in the right place. So if you're Christian, for example, you'll see Jesus. If you're Muslim, you'll see Muhammad. Or if you believe in Buddha, it's like, oh gosh, I saw Buddha. And this is where, at our consciousness level in this form, the physical form, people go, I saw Jesus, so Jesus is the one. The Christianity is the real deal. But no, to that person, if you believe that grapefruit is your savior, you die, you'll see grapefruits everywhere for you. It's just telling you, kind of like,
absolutely,
brain, your brain or your dream states, it just tells you that, hey, you're in the right place. This is what you believe goodness is. This is what we're giving you, so you can say reference it. So it gives you reference points.
I love it that you were just saying this is what we are giving you.
Yes.
How would you describe what is out there? You say it's you became your own universe. But at the same token, you were indicating, maybe as a Freudian slip, that there is another entity out there that is giving us this opportunity to grow and this opportunity to see and experience things way beyond our grasp.
Yes.
What is your feeling, and what are you happy to talk about when it comes to that?
Absolutely. Point? Yeah, and again, I love your questions, Stephan. It's beautiful. Thank you for that. So the we that we talk about, it's not so again, we condition ourselves to have a personal identity. So the we that I talk about is literally an environment, or what I call a consciousness, that when you step in, you become that consciousness. So that we is you're part of that we. You're part of that consciousness. And that consciousness is basically knowledge or concepts of how that reality should work. So it's not like a separate entity or anything like that, although it feels like different than you. But if you stayed in that consciousness long enough, that we becomes you. Does that make sense to you? Just like in this physical form, if you, for example, addictions, if you're staying in an environment of, addictive patterns, programs, and all that. So if you stay in that environment, you become that environment. So if you change your environment, which most people don't do, you still might not be addicted, but you're still in that environment, and you have to be really, really cautious, so to speak, or not go into a bar, not go do this and not do that, right? But like I said, if you change your environment, then it's like, well, in this case, I'm not addicted anymore, or I don't have abuse patterns anymore, or, so it's that kind of concept. Did that make sense? It's kind of hard to.
Oh, it is hard, but I love it that you give it a shot to express it in words, because we are talking about things, about energy forms that are beyond our grasp, therefore often are beyond our language, the ability of us to actually describe it. How can you describe love, especially once it becomes such an overpowering and beautiful emotion as you have experienced? So that is, thank you for giving it a shot. Let's put it like that. Wow.
Can I give you an example on like people's reference points? So I was, I do a lot of events all over the world, and I was on stage once, and I work on people, live, and I can see what's going on with them. And so I asked this person to, come up on stage, and I read them to see what's going, because I can, with the abilities after my second near death, Stephan, I can actually pinpoint exactly, say, the situation that caused you to be you today. Because again, those are, so anyway, I was working on this person, and I read them, and they started to move around, and they started to change, on stage. And later on, two people came up to me, and they go, God, when I saw you, and when I saw you, I saw, Jesus behind you helping him heal that person. I go, wow, that's really intriguing. Thank you. And then what really puzzled me is like later on, is like this other person came up, and it's like, God, when I saw you heal that person, I saw Buddha come in. So I'm going, well, wait a second. And I was really confused, for a while, and I'm going, it's like, because you always want to search, it's like, well, which one was it? One person told me. So, and it's like, oh, okay, I get it. So it's like, okay, if you're Christian based, you'll see the healer as a Christian ideation. If you're Buddhist, you'd see that person. So I'm going, oh, okay. So that really helped me understand, how, say, the universe communicates with you, or how you see the universe. The universe is always sending out, say, information to you. How you filter that information is, well, left up to you and your experiences that you've had. So.
Wow. It's beautiful how you describe it. It is actually a really lovely way. It makes perfect sense to me. For some of the viewers, if that is the first time that you guys are coming across such concepts, it might scare the living daylights out of you, or you might actually think, God, what a nut job, Stephan, who did you bring onto your show here today? And it's okay to feel like that, because we are touching upon experiences and touching upon concepts that are so foreign to most of us. The vast majority of us will never get the privilege to experience something like that.
Right. Absolutely.
And so as such, it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to be skeptic. It is, however, there are so many real life experiments that are going out. I mean, go to the fact that the CIA and other alphabet soup agencies in the States spent decades on remote viewing experiments, funded that to the cost of trillions.
I know.
So if there was nothing to it, then hang on. Okay, so
And you know, Stefan, you're talking about spending trillions, which is a lot. They don't even come close to the abilities that I have and the abilities that I teach people.
Exactly.
Because they what they're doing is they're constructing of the realm that they know, which is really backwards. I was going to say ass backwards, but I don't know if I can. But you step out of that paradigm, out of the box, and you go, "Oh, that's how it really works."
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay. Do I asked you before the show, but I also want to show it. Want to share it now here on stage. I was about to say here in reality.
Yeah.
There are people out there who do channel, and channeling refers typically to the fact that you can tap into voluntarily tap into a consciousness, or maybe communicate with a form of energy out there that can be quite literal. And some people talk about aliens, some people talk about angels. What do you make out of that? What do you make out of this channeling?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, channels, you know, if you're not, say, resonating at the right frequency, and again, it's all straight quantum physics. If you're not resonating at the right frequency, so you're not resonating at the right frequency, you want access to information that's out there or beyond or the unknown. Okay. And my description of, say, aliens are just higher levels of knowledge or intelligence. You know, they're not green men or anything like that. It's just a higher order of intelligence that's, you know, above our consciousness. So what most people do is that they're not resonating properly. And what they do is like they need to channel or connect to something outside of themselves. So what we do in, you know, in Xponential Intelligence is get you exponentially intelligent, where if you want to know the information at that level of consciousness, you rise to that level, you create, say, the right frequency, and you can actually tap into that level of consciousness with your with you. You don't need to channel outside of yourself. So that knowledge exists in you as long as you, again, resonate at a certain frequency. And that's what we teach. Yeah, you don't need somebody outside of yourself. I mean, they could help you, sure. And I'm not saying that channeling is not real or anything like that. It's real. It's very real. But you want to make sure who and what you channel. Because if you channel, and you can see it, Stephan, you've seen people who channel, they get messed up. Because over time, the human form morphs into the channel form. So say that you know, like I don't want to talk about anybody famous, but say a person channels a deity outside, and that deity is called Rama or whatever. Over time, they would turn into or get deformed into an ideation of Rama. That makes sense. And this is where they have health problems, have physical issues, they have mental instability, and all that stuff that can occur. Look at all the great channelers. After a while, they didn't do well. And not just like on the etheric side. Look at Tesla, Nikola Tesla. He channeled great experiments and great inventions. He ascended to a level, or he channeled those great ideas. And then over time, he got a little, well, not a little, but a little mentally unstable, let's just say. So,
and well, how do you define mentally unstable in a world where God, we are constantly transforming? Mental stability, you would define that by comparing his behavior or his thoughts or behaviors really compared with other people who are living at the same time and their belief systems. So therefore, I mean, dodgy. But I hear what you're saying. I hear that, which then raises the question: if you can channel into this not channel, wrong. If you
transcend.
No,
vibrate?
no. Okay, better words. I like them. No, you are saying basically it is all already in you. It's all already there. We can tap into that. So if this beautiful energy is there, is there also a destructive, negative energy? So to use, again, cliches, heaven and hell, can we actually channel or transcend into hell as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that I think it'll get your mind like rolling like weeks after this conversation is over is that you are actually being channeled to be you. So you're already channeling. Your consciousness exists, say, out here. You, a physical being, are logged in, like say a Wi-Fi network, to be you. So you're already channeling something that we don't know. People call it their spirit. I call it your, timeless self. Again, that. So if you're channeling that thing, the connection to that, say, being, that consciousness that creates you, has all the answers anyway. So all you need to do is create a stronger connection between your higher self, your timeless self, and your time-bound self. So did that make sense? That concept? Think about it. I knew it'll crunch your brain a bit.
Exactly. Although it is logical. There's so many.
And then I forgot what I was supposed to answer. Sorry. So
no. It's the question of heaven and hell,
the heaven and hell,
of this beautiful, benevolent, empowering, conscious state that can bring us forward to human levels that we can't even fathom yet. If we accept that as this beautiful state up there, is there also this state, a different energy there? Are there demons? Are there, and I'm using cliches, I'm using words just because that is what we sort of over the last centuries have linked with that darker energy.
Yes. So, and again, it's going to push what most people are comfortable with. But I think if you just allow it to absorb, you go, oh shit, that makes sense. Okay. So there's a layer. Okay. And then you transcend. And I'll just put numbers to this, if you don't mind. So just for clarity. So you're at a level 0 consciousness. Okay. So, and that's just the 0 point. Basically, this is where density is created. The next layer is like level 1, where you can't create any density. You can't bring your physical body, but you can bring your consciousness in there, okay? Or your existence of self in there, again, or your spirit, so to speak. And then there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 till infinity out there, right? So what happens is that when you come into a time-bound consciousness like we are in, there has to be opposites for you to, say, reference who you are. So in order for you to feel love, if you had no reference point, you would not know what love is about. So you'd have to have the extreme. Okay. If you experience, you would never know what darkness would be if you didn't have light. Like a blind man would not have a reference point, like blind person being born with no sight. They would not have no reference point. You try to explain what a color is. You try to explain what light is. They would have no reference point or no clue at all what the hell you're talking about.
Exactly.
So in order to make this reality in existence where we can understand it and how one of the functions of how time and space work, you'd have to have reference points, darkness, lightness, hot, cold, all that stuff for you to go, oh, I am this, to be abused, to be non-abused, to be, unhappy, or to be happy. Again, all those need to have like a gradient scale to be on for you to understand who you are. Just like, okay, if you're standing up, there's a mechanism in your brain that goes, oh, okay, I'm standing up, compared to when I'm lying down. Again, those are reference points. If you're like really, I don't know, aggressive compared to somebody who's not aggressive, how would you know if you're aggressive if there's no reference points? So that's why those things exist in this physical form, right? In this physical realm. But the problem is, and we're great creators, by the way, is that and again, this is gonna push your mind for you, is that we don't die properly. So we're not awakened when we die. And I think that's one of the biggest pandemics in the world, is that we don't die properly. Usually we're loaded with drugs. So our consciousness doesn't know when we disconnect or physically die. So we're still in existence somewhere. If that makes sense to you. Like a lot of people that I see is like, they don't even know that they're dead sometimes, especially like if they're suicidal. Seriously, they're suicidal. They're in an altered state, and they disconnect from this physical realm or their body. They go to the level 1 consciousness, but they still think that their problems still exist. And that's where that next level above this physical level, or that veil that a lot of people talk about, they bring all their, I was going to say, their crap. They bring all their bullshit into the next level, and it starts to create that level with all the drama and all the distortions. And then we feed upon that level by making it true, by acting upon it, by sensing what's in that level. And that's where the darkness comes in. That's where, say, the devil comes in. That's where all that stuff comes into play. That's where entities start to get created, basically entities or evil and all that. Yes, I do see that. But again, those are levels inside or within the concepts of space and time. You go beyond that into a pure form, which most people go on. There is no concepts of evil. It's just, again, possibilities that exist for you.
Wow.
So so there's timeless space, and then there's this huge veil. And again, everything is of, filters. So the first filter would be time and space, and then the physics of this reality, like electromagnetism and so on. And then, it's filter upon filter upon filter. And then there's your family filter, and then there's your filter, and then there's you. Does that make sense? How all those things get filtered down. So we carry all those filters above into that next realm, basically. And then that's how those things get created. They're not created by a being called God. Let's just say that.
Okay. That makes actually sense. That is a beautiful, I've never heard that kind of explanation of the phenomena or the things that the church made us believe over the last 2,000 years. So that's intriguing.
It's a good way to control people. I mean, parents use it all the time. The boogeyman's going to get you. All this is going to get you. And then that starts to become reality. It's kind of like the placebo effect. I mean, back in the day, they used to give prisoners, a hefty dose of poison, and they go, hey, this is supposed to be good for you. And they wouldn't die. That's how great our creativity is. Right. And then it goes like, shit, what the hell happened? Right. And it's like, how did that work? Or you give somebody a placebo and they're healed from whatever. So in most of the pharmaceutical studies, by the way, the placebos are almost or sometimes more effective than the actual drug. and that's just straight out statistics, guys. So,
well, it depends on the study,
creators.
but that's right.
Yes.
I mean, that depends on how you do it, and the placebo effect is that's we can we can then emphasize this effect very easily by, saying, "Oh, I need to put gloves on because that little tablet is so powerful. I actually can't even touch it, even with gloves.
Yeah.
So I've got gloves on, and I've taken a pincer, and now we'll put it underneath your tongue." And it depends on how we dress that all up.
Exactly.
And you could, of course, argue that the church, certainly more the conservative churches, are doing exactly that. And earlier on, if you carefully go back over that interview, there's one moment when I was just maybe a bit cynically laughing there when you said that all the consciousness is already within you, and that all the energy is there. The church doesn't like words like that, because without that, with that recognition that everything is already within you, you don't need to go to the Sunday church service to be absolved of your sins. Because so therefore, you, my friend, are going straight for the pyre. Okay, let's burn you at the stake. Bloody hell.
The one thing I want to get across is like, I've really studied Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, and Abraham, and great people like that. So those people had great knowledge, great wisdom that they tapped into somehow. So I'm not discrediting those individuals, the purity of those individuals. Okay, I'm like you and I, we're both questioning the concepts of what religions have come to be, so to speak. So if you are religious, again, I'm not knocking religion down, but ask, what would Jesus do? Okay, that's it.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Simple as that.
And you could easily imagine that Jesus was an equally enlightened person who was able to actually tap into energy levels and do some tremendous good with it. So if he is healing with his hands, well, there is not necessarily something wrong with that, and because many people around us nowadays still have this ability, or continue to develop again these abilities that have been lost in modern civilization. And so we all have this opportunity to expand our horizon, expand our knowledge, expand our skills, our expertise. If we just stop the rat race for a moment and actually allow ourselves to be right here, so intentional in the moment. And that is where the magic starts. When we stop our race, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I like it. Like you said, I'm actually a testament to having great healing abilities. And again, I don't heal anybody. I don't claim to heal anybody. I actually help you awaken to the possibilities of who you are, where you can go, hey, I don't want to have cancer anymore. I want this possibility of myself. So you start to, awaken people to possibilities, and they can cure and heal themselves of, say, amazing things.
That is beautiful. That is now sounding like a big, strange woo-woo. No, he's going too far. But having said that, it's guys, I want you to think about simple things. All those viewers and listeners out there, you probably have been there, that you were sitting in a car in the traffic lights, and suddenly you know that 2 cars behind you on the left, someone is looking at you. And you turn around, and this guy goes all over the show because he doesn't want to meet your eye, because he had been looking at you. So how the heaven or the hell did you know that this guy was looking at you? So that is an example where, hang on, so there are energies out there that you don't know yet in daily life. You experience it, a gut feeling, intuition, maybe deja vu, maybe other phenomena that you come across and that you just shrug off. There are so many examples out there that just show you that there is more to this life than meets the eye or meets the ear or any other sense.
Absolutely. Can I just help you clarify that too?
Yeah.
If you don't mind?
Shoot. Yeah.
That's awesome. So just think of it this way. And by the way, my abilities have been tested through frequency work and physicists and stuff like that. So, but back to your question, just to clarify that for you, my friend, let's just say that those frequencies are already existing in you, but say that, I'll just make it simple. Say you don't have a Wi-Fi router, okay? The Wi-Fi frequencies are available to you, but if you don't have an apparatus, they like this phone, you'll go, well, there's no Wi-Fi here. It's like, well, check your phone and do this. Do me a favor, guys, if you don't believe in it. Go to your Wi-Fi and then look at all the Wi-Fi, especially in a public place. Yeah. Look at all the Wi-Fi, access things that are there that your phone is showing you. You just don't have access to it. You don't have the password to use it. So what I help you with is like, oh, let me give you that Wi-Fi code to access that frequency that's already there. So it's not that, you turn on something in you. Those frequencies are hitting you just like all the microwaves, electromagnetics, the radio waves and Wi-Fi waves and cellular waves, all that stuff that we wouldn't even know that existed. Bees use nature's Wi-Fi all the time to coordinate, GPS. How does that work? They're simple little bees, but they can coordinate just like Google Maps can.
Salmon travel thousands of miles and then come back to within 10 meters of the area where they were actually coming to life to spawn there.
Yeah, the monarch butterfly, they travel from northern, Minnesota, where I live, all the way down south, and then they travel back. It's like, how do they know that journey?
Well, exactly.
So you can connect to that unseen world.
Yeah.
If we just awaken. Absolutely.
Wow. Mas, you're an amazing man. I'm blown away. I knew this would be an amazing interview, but I'm just a bit gobsmacked here. I'm just a bit awakened, maybe. Awakened is, I think, the best word to describe that. Just as if I had been driving through the darkness, through a dark street, and suddenly you see a little door, just that little bit open, just that glimpse of a world inside where there is light. I feel exactly the same way there. If other people are as intrigued as I am, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about you?
Yeah, they can go to ximeditation.com. So it's XI and then meditation.com. Also, you're into sobriety and, so what we've done actually for your people out there, if you go to xirecover.com /addiction, there's actually a course that if you'd like, just see it if it's right for you. And with the promo code recover, you get a hefty discount off that course that may help you go through the process of addictions and all that. So,
wow. Thank you so much, Mas. Look down there, guys, into the description of the YouTube video and of the podcast, because you've got all those links down there. Wow. What an opportunity. What an opportunity for all of us to grow, for all of us to connect in a more meaningful way with ourselves, with those around us, with those probably before us, and maybe even with those after us, with energy forms that are out there. And I love the picture of the Wi-Fi routers. Wow, I can't wait personally to explore different realms, different opportunities out there. Wow.
There's plenty to experience.
Mas, you're an amazing man. Thank you so much for being a guest on my show. This was a blast.
And thank you for being such a intelligent host and asking me great questions, my friend.
Good. It was straight from the heart. And you guys out there, look after yourself and live with passion. Bye.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.